I thought it was empty. Then two alien women locked the door. The silence of deep space had always comforted Marcus Chun, but as his boots clanged against the metal grating of Station Helix 7, something felt wrong. His scanner had shown 0 life signs, 0 power signatures. The perfect derelict salvage. Easy money. The airlock sealed behind him with a hiss that echoed through the darkened corridor. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically, casting dancing shadows that made his skin prickle. Marcus adjusted his helmet, checking his oxygen reserves. 6 hours. More than enough time to catalog anything valuable and get out. Main corridor, heading toward central operations. He muttered into his recorder, following protocol even though no one was listening. His company didn't care about procedure, only profit. The station had been abandoned 3 months ago, according to official records. Some kind of quarantine scare that turned out to be a false alarm. But the company that owned it had already written it off, moved on to newer, shinier investments. Their loss was Marcus's gain. He moved through the twisting passages, his flashlight cutting through the gloom. The station was larger than he'd expected, its architecture unfamiliar, not standard Earth design. Maybe one of the outer colony constructions, built by contractors who valued form over function. As he approached what his map designated as the living quarters, Marcus heard it. A sound, soft, almost imperceptible, but definitely there, breathing. His hand went to the plasma cutter at his belt. Not a weapon, exactly, but would do in a pinch. Hello. His voice cracked the silence like breaking glass. This is a registered salvage operation. If someone's here, identify yourself. Movement. A door sliding open to his left. Marcus spun, flashlight rays, and froze. 2 figures stood in the doorway, backlit by soft bioluminescent light from within. Women unmistakably, but unlike any he'd encountered. Their skin held an iridescent quality, shifting between shades of deep purple and midnight blue as they moved. Hair like spun silver flowed past their shoulders and their features, while humanoid, possessed an otherworldly elegance that made his breath catch. "You should not have come here," the taller one said, her voice melodic but firm, accented in ways Marcus couldn't place. The station registered as empty. Marcus managed, hands raised to show he meant no threat. "I'm just a salvager. I'll leave." He turned toward the corridor he'd entered from, but the second woman moved with impossible speed, her hands slamming against a wall panel. Throughout the station, doors began sealing. The grinding of metal on metal echoed from every direction. "I'm afraid we cannot allow that," the first woman said, stepping closer. In the better light, Marcus could see her eyes, luminous gold, with pupils that caught and reflected his flashlight like a cat's. "I am Vira. This is Celine. And you, Marcus Chun of the salvage vessel Wanderer, are now our guest." "How do you know my name?" Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs. Vira gestured to his ship patch, where his name was stitched in bright letters. Despite the situation, Marcus felt foolish. "You cannot leave because we cannot let word of our presence spread," Celine added, her voice softer than Vira's. "Not yet. Perhaps not ever." "Are you prisoners? Refugees?" Marcus asked, his mind racing through possibilities. "I can help. I have connections, people who—" "We are survivors," Vira interrupted. "And whether you live long enough to leave the station depends entirely on what happens in the next few hours. So I suggest we talk, Marcus Chun. We have much to discuss, and time is not as generous as you might hope." The lights flickered again, and in the darkness between pulses, Marcus saw something in their expressions that wasn't threat. It was fear. Whatever these women were running from, it terrified them far more than he did. "All right," Marcus said slowly, lowering his hands. "Let's talk." Vira led Marcus into the room they'd emerged from, Celine following close behind. The space had been transformed from standard station quarters into something resembling a sanctuary. Bioluminescent strips lined the walls, pulsing with gentle light. Salvage blankets created makeshift partitions, and a small collection of personal items suggested they'd been here longer than a few days. "Sit," Vira commanded, gesturing to a cushioned bench. Her tone had softened slightly, though wariness remained in those golden eyes. Marcus sat, removing his helmet slowly. The air was breathable, if a bit thin. "How long have you been hiding here?" 43 of your Earth days, Celine answered, settling gracefully onto a cushion across from him. "Since our colony ship suffered catastrophic failure in the outer drift." "The Meridian Crossing," Marcus breathed. "I heard about that. Reports said all hands were lost." Reports were incorrect. Vira remained standing, her posture alert. 217 souls were aboard. Celine and I reached the escape pods. The others... Her voice trailed off, pain flickering across her features. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, and meant it. He'd seen enough death in the black to know that particular kind of survivor's guilt. But why hide? Why not signal for help? Celine and Vira exchanged a glance, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, Vira spoke. "Our people, the Luminari, are not recognized by the Galactic Council. Our colony ship was unauthorized. If we reveal ourselves, we face deportation back to our dying homeworld. We chose exile over extinction. So you're just going to stay here?" This station is falling apart. As if to emphasize his point, the lights flickered again, and somewhere deep in the station's infrastructure, metal groaned ominously. "We know," Celine said softly. "The environmental systems are degrading. We've managed basic repairs, but we lack the knowledge for anything more complex. We have perhaps 10 days before life support fails completely." Marcus ran a hand through his dark hair, his salvager's mind already cataloging solutions. "I can help with that. My ship has parts, and I've kept worse stations running. But I need access to the main engineering bay." "Why would you help us?" Vira asked, suspicion sharp in her voice. "Because leaving 2 people to die in space isn't something I can do and still sleep at night," Marcus replied. "And because maybe we can figure out a solution that doesn't involve you hiding here until you suffocate." Something in Vira's expression shifted, the hard edges softening. She moved closer, and Marcus caught a scent like ozone and flowers. Alien but not unpleasant. "You are not what I expected from a human salvager." "Yeah, well, you're not what I expected to find on an empty station," Marcus countered, managing a slight smile. Over the next hours, they worked together through the station's labyrinthine corridors. Marcus retrieved tools and components from his ship, while Vira and Celine guided him through Helix 7's unique systems. The station had been built as a research outpost by a long-defunct corporation, its architecture a maze of repurposed modules that had never been properly integrated. As they worked, Marcus learned more about the Luminari. Their world was dying from radiation storms caused by their sun's instability. The colony ship had been a desperate attempt by a small group to find refuge among the stars. Vira was an engineer, Celine a xenobotanist. Both had left behind families, friends, everything they knew. "Your skin," Marcus said as they crawled through a maintenance tunnel, trying not to stare at the way Vira's iridescent coloring shifted in the dim light. "It's bioluminescent?" "Our people evolved in deep caverns," Vira explained, her voice echoing slightly in confined space. "We develop our own light to see by. It also serves other purposes, communication, emotional expression." As she spoke, her skin brightened slightly, patterns rippling across her arms. "It's beautiful," Marcus said without thinking, then felt heat rise to his face. Vira paused in her crawling, glancing back at him. In the darkness, her eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Thank you, Marcus-chun. That is kind." They emerged into the engineering bay, a cavernous space filled with humming machinery and blinking status panels. Most showed red. Marcus whistled low. "This is worse than I thought. Can it be fixed?" Celine asked, worry creasing her brow. "Maybe, probably, but it'll take time." Marcus approached the main console, fingers flying over the interface. "And I'll need to stay longer than I planned. Your company will notice your absence," Vira observed. "Screw the company. They can wait." Marcus pulled up a diagnostic screen, frowning at the cascade of errors. "Besides, I'm not leaving until I know you two will be safe." Celine smiled, the expression transforming her face with warmth. "You are a good man, Marcus-chun." A proximity alarm suddenly blared, red lights flashing throughout the bay. Marcus's blood ran cold as he read the display. "We've got company. A ship just dropped out of FTL at the system's edge." "Who?" Vira demanded, her skin flashing with agitated patterns. Marcus enhanced the scanner data, and his stomach dropped. "Pirates. The Red Line Collective. They must have tracked my signal, hoping to scavenge my scavenge." He looked at the two alien women, seeing his own fear reflected in their expressions. "And if they find you, the bounty for undocumented aliens would be worth more than anything on this station." "How long do we have?" Celine asked, her calm voice belying the rapid color shifts dancing across her skin. Marcus checked the calculations. "4 hours, maybe 5 before they dock. We need to hide you, or—" He hesitated, a desperate plan forming. "Or we make the station look worthless and get out of here together." "Together?" Vira moved closer, close enough that Marcus could feel the subtle warmth radiating from her skin. "You would take us with you?" "If you'll trust me," Marcus said, meeting her golden gaze. "My ship is small but fast. We can reach the outer territories before they catch us. There are places there where the Council doesn't look too closely, where 2 Luminari women might find sanctuary." Vira studied his face for a long moment, then reached out and placed her hand over his. Her skin was warm, the touch sending an unexpected tingle up his arm. "Then we trust you, Marcus Chun, and we will not forget this kindness." As they began preparations for escape, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something far more complicated than a simple rescue. But looking at Vira's grateful smile and Celine's hopeful eyes, he found he didn't mind the complication at all. The next 3 hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Marcus and Vira worked to reroute power, making the station appear even more derelict than it already was, while Celine gathered their meager possessions. The goal was simple: make the pirates think twice about docking, buy them time to reach the Wanderer and escape. "This panel is completely burned out," Vira muttered, her hands deep in a tangle of wiring. She'd pulled her silver hair back, revealing the elegant line of her neck, and Marcus found himself distracted despite the urgency of their situation. "We don't need to fix it, just make it look worse," Marcus said, forcing his attention back to the sabotage at hand. "Help me disable this coupling." They worked in tandem, their movements gradually synchronizing as they learned each other's rhythms. When Vira needed a tool, Marcus had it ready. When Marcus reached for a component, Vira was already offering it. The connection was subtle but undeniable. "You've done this before," Vira observed, watching Marcus's efficient movements. 14 years salvaging," Marcus replied, grunting as he wrenched a stubborn bolt free. "You learn to make things look worse than they are. Keeps competition away from the good finds." "And are we a good find, Marcus Chin?" There was something playful in Vira's tone, a lightness that hadn't been there before. Marcus paused, meeting her eyes. "The best I've ever made." Color bloomed across Vira's skin, patterns he was beginning to recognize as emotional responses. This one, a soft violet mixed with gold, he didn't need translation for. It was the same warmth he felt spreading through his chest. A sharp crack echoed through the station, followed by the groan of stressed metal. The entire bay lurched sideways, throwing them both against the bulkhead. Marcus instinctively wrapped his arms around Vira, cushioning her impact with his body. "What was that?" Vira gasped, her face inches from his. Marcus checked his wrist display, his expression darkening. Secondary power cell just blew. The pirates must have started their approach. The vibrations from their engines destabilized the damaged systems. Another lurch, more violent this time. Emergency barriers began slamming down throughout the station, isolating sections to prevent cascade failure. Marcus and Vira barely rolled through a doorway before a heavy blast door crashed down behind them, sealing them in a small auxiliary control room. "Celine!" Vira called out, her skin flashing with alarm. Marcus activated his comm. "Celine, do you copy?" "I'm here." Celine's voice crackled through with interference. "Trapped in the eastern quarters. The barriers came down." "Are you safe?" Vira demanded. "For now. But Marcus, the pirates have changed course. They're heading for your ship." Marcus swore. "Can you reach the Wanderer?" "Negative. There are 3 barriers between me and the docking bay." but I can control them from here. There's a manual override in the quarters. I can get you two to the ship." "What about you?" Marcus asked, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. "I'll find another way. Get Vira to safety. That's what matters." "Absolutely not," Vira interjected, her voice fierce. "We're not leaving you, Celine." "We don't have a choice," Celine replied, sadness threading through her words. "If the pirates board the station, at least one of us needs to survive to tell our story. Go, sister. I'll find my way to you." The calm went dead. Vira slammed her fist against the wall, leaving a small dent in the metal. "No, I won't lose her too." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder, feeling the tension vibrating through her. "We won't, but we need to reach the ship first. Once we're aboard, we can use the Wanderer systems to map a path back to her. I promise you, Vira, we're not leaving Celine behind." Vira turned to face him, tears glinting in her golden eyes. "You promise?" "On my life." She studied his face, searching for deception and finding none. Then, surprising him completely, she leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. Her skin was fever-warm, and where they touched, Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation, like a low electrical current. "This is how my people seal promises," Vira whispered. "Now our words are bound." They stayed like that for a moment, breathing each other's air, and Marcus felt something shift between them. This was no longer just about rescue or survival. Something deeper was forming, born from crisis but rooted in genuine connection. The control room's emergency lighting flickered, dying to barely a glow. The temperature began dropping immediately. Life support was failing in this section. Marcus could see his breath misting in the air. "We need to move," he said reluctantly, breaking contact. But Vira caught his hand, her luminescent skin now providing the only light in the darkened room. "Wait!" She moved closer, her body heat a welcome presence in the rapidly cooling space. "My people have a saying, warmth shared as life extended. In our cavern cities, when storms came and the heat crystals failed, we survived by..." She hesitated, color shifting across her features. "By sharing our body heat. It's not just practical, it's intimate." Marcus's heart raced as he understood what she was offering. "Vira, we barely know each other. We know enough. I know you risked everything to help us. I know you work with skilled hands and speak with a kind heart. I know that when I look at you, I feel something I haven't felt since leaving my homeworld. Hope." She stepped closer still until there was barely space between them. "And I know we're going to freeze if we don't find warmth. So will you share it with me, Marcus Chun?" He answered by wrapping his arms around her, pulling her close. The contrast was immediate and startling. Her skin radiated heat like a living furnace, while her body provided different kind of warmth. Vira made a soft sound, something between a gasp and a sigh, and her luminescence brightened, bathing them both in soft light. "Is this okay?" Marcus asked, acutely aware of every point of contact between them. "More than okay," Vira murmured, her hands finding their way beneath his jacket, seeking skin contact. Where she touched, Marcus felt that electrical tingle intensify, not painful but profoundly intimate. "Can you feel it?" The energy exchange. "I feel something," Marcus admitted, his voice rough. The cold was forgotten now, replaced by a heat that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with the woman in his arms. Vira tilted her head up, her luminous eyes finding his in the darkness. "My people believe that connections forged in crisis burn brightest, that adversity reveals the truth of souls." Her hand came up to cup his face, her thumb tracing his cheekbone. "I see you, Marcus Chun, not the salvager, not the lone wanderer. I see the man who chooses compassion over profit, who risks everything for strangers. And what I see makes my light shine brighter." Marcus had never been good with words, had spent so many years alone in the black that he'd forgotten how to express what he felt. So instead, he did what felt natural. He closed the distance between them and kissed her. Vira responded immediately, her lips warm and soft against his. The electrical sensation intensified, pleasure rippling through both of them. Her skin blazed with light, patterns swirling in colors Marcus had never seen before, and he understood instinctively that this was how Luminari express emotion. Everything they felt was written in light across their skin. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Vira's smile was radiant. That was... Yeah, Marcus agreed, unable to articulate it better. A mechanical were interrupted the moment. The barrier door was cycling open. Through his comm, Celine's voice came through clearly. Pathway is clear. You have 7 minutes to reach the docking bay before the pirates breach the outer hull. Move now. Marcus took Vira's hand, her skin still glowing softly. Ready to run? With you? Always. She squeezed his hand, and they ran together through the failing station, toward a ship and a future neither of them had imagined hours before. As they sprinted through corridors lit only by Vira's bioluminescence, Marcus realized that what he thought was a simple salvage run had become something far more precious. He'd found something worth more than any amount of credits. He'd found connection. He'd found hope. And maybe, just maybe, he'd found love. The Wanderer's airlock hissed shut behind them, and Marcus immediately rushed to the cockpit. Through the view screen, he could see the pirate vessel, a brutish, patchwork ship bristling with weapons, closing in on Station Helix 7. They had minutes, maybe less. Celine's status? Vira called into the comm, her voice tight with worry. I've reached the central hub. I can see your ship from here, but there are pirates already in the outer corridors. They're sweeping section by section. Celine's breathing came fast over the channel. I'm going to have to find another route. Marcus's fingers flew over controls, running pre-flight calculations. There is no other route. The barriers have sealed off everything except the main corridor, and that's where the pirates are. Then I'll wait them out, Celine said, forcing calm into her voice. They'll take what they want and leave. I can hide. No. Vira's skin flashed deep red, anger and fear mixing. We don't leave family behind. Marcus. There has to be something. Marcus studied the station schematic on his display, his salvager's mind working through possibilities. Then he saw it, a maintenance corridor that ran along the station's outer hull. Normally it would be suicide to traverse, expose a vacuum. But, Celine, do you still have your emergency suit from the colony ship? He asked. Yes, but it's damaged. The seal on the left arm is compromised. Can you patch it, even temporarily? A pause. Maybe. Why? Because I'm coming to get you. Marcus was already pulling on his own suit. There's an exterior maintenance route from the central hub to the docking bay. If you can get into the maintenance airlock, I can EVA over and guide you back. Marcus, that's insane, Vira protested. The pirates will see you. They're sensors. We'll be focused on the station interior, looking for salvage. They won't expect anyone to be stupid enough to walk on the outside. He sealed his helmet, checking the suit's integrity. Besides, I've done stupider things for worse reasons. Vira grabbed his arm, spinning him to face her. Her eyes blazed with emotion, her skin a riot of conflicting colors. Fear, admiration, anger, and something deeper. You could die. So could Celine if I don't try. Marcus cupped her face with his gloved hand, the gesture awkward to the suit, but no less genuine. You said you wouldn't lose her. Neither will I. Something broke in Vira's expression, the careful control she'd maintained shattering. She pulled him close despite the bulky suit, her forehead pressing against his helmet. Come back to me, both of you. Promise me. We sealed that promise already, remember? Marcus tried for a smile. Our words are bound. Vira kissed the faceplate where his lips would be, leaving a luminescent mark. Then let this guide you home. Marcus entered the airlock, his heart pounding. Through the small window, he watched Vira, her form silhouetted by her own light. Then the outer door opened, and he stepped into the void. The universe stretched infinite around him, stars scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Station Helix 7 loomed to his right, a geometric shadow against the cosmic background. To his left, the pirate ship grew larger by the second. Celine, I'm outside, heading to your position, Marcus said, magnetic boots clanking against the hull as he moved. I see you. Celine replied. Marcus, thank you for everything you're doing for us. Thank Vira. She wouldn't let me leave you behind. She cares for you. Deeply. Celine's voice carried warmth. I've known her since we were younglings. I've never seen her light shine the way it does around you. Marcus navigated around a sensor array, keeping low. I care for her too. For both of you. I know. I can see it in how you move, how you speak. Luminari are very attuned to emotional truth. A pause. When we reach safety, if we reach safety, there's something you should know about our people, about our bonding customs. What's that? We don't love singularly. Our people form family groups, bonds that transcend what humans call romance or friendship. When a Luminari opens their heart, they open it fully to all who share their trust. Celine's voice grew softer. Vira is opening her heart to you, Marcus. And so am I. Marcus nearly missed his next step, catching himself on a handhold. Celine, you don't have to say anything now, but I wanted you to understand what's growing between the three of us. It's not strange to us. It's natural. It's right. She laughed softly. Though I admit, I never expected to find it with a human salvager in the middle of nowhere. Marcus reached the maintenance airlock, cycling it open. Inside, Celine waited, her emergency suit patched with what looked like medical tape and hope. Even through her helmet, he could see her relieved smile. Ready to go home? He asked, extending his hand. Celine took it. With you two? Absolutely. They made their way back across the hull, moving slowly to avoid attracting attention. Halfway there, the pirate ship fired a docking clamp at the station, the magnetic boom shooting past them close enough that Marcus felt the vibration through his boots. They're boarding. Vira's voice crackled through the calm hurry. Marcus and Celine pushed their speed, taking risks on the icy hull. They were nearly to the Wanderer when a spotlight swept across the station's exterior. The pirates had posted an external watch. Don't move, Marcus whispered. They froze, pressed flat against the hull as the light passed over them once. Twice. It paused, and Marcus's blood ran cold. Then Vira's voice, creating a distraction. Hold on. Through the station's windows, bright lights suddenly blazed. Vira had overloaded the emergency systems in a distant section. The spotlight swung away from them, focusing on the new activity. Go now. Vira urged. They covered the last distance in seconds, tumbling through the Wanderer's airlock. Marcus didn't even wait to get out his suit before hitting the release clamps and firing thrusters. The ship lurched away from the station just as the pirates realized what was happening. They're pursuing, Vira called from the cockpit, her hands already dancing over the weapon's console. 3 fighters launching. Marcus shed his helmet, racing forward. How's your gunnery? Non-existent. I'm an engineer, not a soldier. Then drive. I'll shoot. They switched positions in the cramped cockpit, a chaotic dance that ended with Marcus at the guns and Vira at the helm. Celine pulled herself out of her damaged suit, moving to the system's console. I can manage shields and power distribution. The first fighter opened fire, plasma bolts streaking past the view screen. Vira banked hard, throwing them into a spiral that used the station as cover. Marcus returned fire, his shots going wide. It had been years since he'd had to use ship weapons. They're faster than us, Vira stated, her voice remarkably calm given the circumstances. We can't outrun them. No, but we can outthink them. Marcus studied the tactical display. See that debris field bearing 27 Mark V? The remains of the colony ship, Celine said quietly. I'm sorry, Marcus said, meaning it, but it's our best shot. Dense debris, lots of metal to confuse their sensors. If we can make it there, we can lose them. Vira didn't hesitate. Hold on. She pushed the Wanderer to its limits, the ship groaning in protest. The fighters stayed on them, weapons fire getting closer. One bolt clipped their rear shield, and the lights flickered. Shield at 60%, Celine reported. Another hit like that, and we're in trouble. They plunged into the debris field, massive chunks of the colony's ship tumbling around them. Vira navigated with precision that bordered on prescient, threading needle-tight gaps that Marcus wouldn't have attempted. Behind them, One pirate fighter clipped a piece of debris and spun away, disabled. Two left, Marcus said, targeting systems locked on the nearest fighter. He fired, and this time his aim was true. The bolt struck the fighter's engine, sending it careening into a large debris fragment. One left. The final fighter was more cautious now, hanging back and taking carefully aimed shots. But Vira led them deeper into the field, in the heart of the wreckage where the largest pieces drifted. There, Celine said, pointing at the scanner. That section is the garden habitat. It's still partially intact. Vira's skin flashed with pain, but she nodded. We can use it. She flew them toward the massive cylindrical structure, its walls breached but its basic shape maintained. At the last second, she dove into one of the breaches, flying through the interior of what had once been a thriving ecosystem. Dead vegetation drifted in zero gravity, ghostly and tragic. The pirate fighter followed, and flew straight into Vira's trap. She'd been counting on the pilot's aggression, leading them into a section where a massive support beam had partially collapsed. As the fighter entered, Vira fired their thrusters, the exhaust wash pushing the beam directly into pursuer's path. The fighter tried to dodge but wasn't fast enough. It clipped the beam, sending it into a fatal spin. They heard the pilot's curse over the open channel, then silence as he ejected. Vira flew them out the opposite side of the habitat, then immediately dove behind a large debris chunk, cutting all non-essential power. They drifted, silent and dark, barely breathing. Minutes passed. Then the pirate mothership appeared on sensors, moving slowly through the field, searching. But they'd gone cold, just another piece of debris among thousands. Eventually, the pirates gave up, returning to the station to loot what they could. Only when the pirates had jumped away did they dare to power up again. In the sudden calm, the three of them sat in the cockpit, letting the adrenaline drain away. "We're alive," Celine said, wonder in her voice. "We're alive," Vira echoed, turning to look at Marcus and Celine. Her skin rippled with colors, relief, joy, grief for what they'd flown through, and something warmer that made Marcus's breath catch. Without words, they came together, the three of them in an embrace that felt like coming home. Vira's hands found Marcus's face. Celine's arms wrapped around them both. They stayed like that, breathing together, sharing warmth and comfort and the simple miracle of survival. "Thank you," Vira whispered, "both of you, for not giving up." "Family doesn't give up," Marcus found himself saying, the word feeling right. "Family stays together." Celine pulled back enough to look at him, her eyes bright with tears and happiness. "Is that what we are now? Family?" Marcus looked at these two extraordinary women who'd crashed into his life, who transformed a routine salvage into something profound. "If you'll have me." Vira's answer was to kiss him, pouring everything she felt into it. When she pulled back, Celine was there, her lips soft against his, her touch gentle but no less meaningful. And when the two women turned to each other, sharing their own moment connection, Marcus understood what Celine had meant about luminary bonding. This wasn't about possession or exclusivity. It was about trust and openness, about three souls finding completion in each other. It was terrifying and beautiful, and more than Marcus had ever dreamed of having. "So," he said when they finally broke apart, all three of them smiling like fools, "we should probably figure out where we're going. Somewhere far from the council's reach," Celine suggested. "Somewhere we can build a life." Vira added, "Somewhere warm," Marcus finished, and they all laughed. As Vira plotted a course toward the outer territories and freedom, Marcus sat back and watched his two lovers, partners, family, all of those and more. He watched them work together, their bioluminescent skin painting the cockpit in shifting colors, and realized his life as a lone salvager was over. He'd found something worth more than any salvage. He'd found where he belonged. 3 weeks later, the Wanderer emerged from FDL space above a world that wasn't on any official charts. Kepler's Haven, the locals called it, a frontier settlement on the edge of civilized space where questions weren't asked and past didn't matter. "Remind me again why we're landing on a planet known for pirates and smugglers," Marcus asked, though his tone was light. "Because even pirates and smugglers need engineers and botanists," Vira replied from the co-pilot seat, her hand resting on his shoulder. The casual touch had become natural over the past weeks, as had the gentle intimacy that now defined their relationship. And because no one here will turn us into the council, Celine added from the NAV station. Besides, I've been researching. The settlement has gardens, real gardens. They're struggling with the soil composition, but I think I can help. Their days in transit had been a revelation. Cramped quarters that should have been maddening had instead become cozy. They'd learned each other's rhythms, shared stories of their different worlds, and discovered that the connection forged in crisis was deepening into something lasting. Marcus had learned that Vira snored softly, that Celine was terrible at cooking human food, but made something from Luminari cuisine that tasted like honey and starlight. They'd learned that Marcus had a dry sense of humor that could make them both laugh, that he knew dozens of songs from a dozen worlds, and that his hands were as skilled at gentle touches as they were at repairs. The nights had been an exploration of trust and affection, learning what each of them needed and wanted. Marcus had discovered that Luminari skin was incredibly sensitive to touch, that their bioluminescence intensified during moments of pleasure, creating a light show that was breathtaking to witness. They'd learned that he enjoyed making them laugh during intimate moments, that vulnerability didn't frighten him the way he'd always thought it would. Landing beacon acquired. Vira announced, bringing Marcus back to the present, taking us down. Kepler's Haven sprawled across a wide valley, a chaotic mix of prefab structures and more permanent buildings. Ships of every variety cluttered the landing field. Traders, prospectors, those running from something or towards something new. As they descended, Marcus's communicator chirped with an incoming transmission. He frowned at the code. It was from his old salvage company. Marcus Chun, a familiar voice drawled. His former boss, Director Marsh. Glad to see you're still alive. Been 3 weeks without contact. We were about to write you off. Had some complications with the Helix. 7 salvage, Marcus replied carefully. So we heard. Pirates hit that station pretty hard. Find anything worth the trouble? Marcus glanced at Vira and Celine, saw them watching him with trust and a touch of worry. Yeah, he said. Found something priceless, actually, which is why I'm calling to tender my resignation. Silence. Then you're quitting? After 14 years. Time for a change. I've transferred my final report and cleared my company tags. The Wanderer is mine, paid for years ago. We're square. What could possibly be worth throwing away your career? Marsh demanded. Marcus smiled. A future. Thanks for everything, Director. Chin out. He ended the transmission before Marsh could respond, then turned to find both women watching him with matching expressions of surprise and joy. You didn't have to do that, Vira said softly. We could have found another way. I wanted to, Marcus interrupted. That life, alone in the black, salvaging scraps? I'm done with it. I want this. I want us. Celine moved to his side, taking his hand. Then let's start building something new. They landed without incident, and Marcus began the process of registering them with the Port Authority. The official, a grizzled woman with a cybernetic eye, barely looked up from her screen. Names and credentials? Marcus Chun, salvage operator. These are my partners, Vira and Celine. They're engineers and botanists looking for work. The officials I flickered to the 2 women, taking in their obviously alien features. Luminari, right? Don't see many of your kind out here. Vira tensed, but the official just shrugged. None of my business. You got credits to pay the landing fee. Marcus slid across a credit chip. We're looking to stay long-term. Any recommendations? Settlement's always looking for skilled workers. Yates at the engineering depot might have something for you. And Morrison's been complaining about the garden for months. If you can get them producing, she'll probably kiss you. As they left the port office, the reality of their situation began to sink in. They were here, together, free to build whatever life they wanted. This is real, Celine breathed, looking up at the alien sky with its twin suns. We're really here. We're really here, Vira confirmed, her skin glowing with joy. The first few days were a whirlwind of activity. Vira found work immediately at the engineering depot, her skill with alien systems proving invaluable. Celine analyzed the settlement's gardens and began implementing solutions, her knowledge of xenobotany applicable even to Kepler's Haven's stubborn soil. Marcus took odd jobs, using his salvage skills to repair equipment and help construct new buildings. The work was different from his old life, but better. He came home each evening to shared meals and conversation, to laughter and warmth. They found a small hab unit on the settlement's edge. With enough room for three and a view of the gardens, Celine was coaxing to life. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. One evening, a month after their arrival, they sat together on their small porch, watching the binary sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Vira's head rested on Marcus's shoulder, Celine's hand in his. "I've been thinking," Celine said quietly, "about our story, about what happened to Colony's ship, to our people." "What about it?" Marcus asked. "There were others who survived. Had to be. The escape pods were designed for multiple occupants. Some of them must have made it." She sat up, excitement building in her voice. "What if we look for them? Put out quiet messages through back channels. Let them know there's a safe place here?" Vira straightened, her skin brightening with hope. "You think they'd come?" "I think they'd be grateful. And I think we could build something amazing here, a real community, not just hiding but thriving." Marcus considered it, his salvager's mind already working through the logistics. "We'd need more housing, more resources. But, yeah, I think we could do it." "A refuge," Vira said, the word carrying weight. "A place where Luminari and humans, and anyone else running from the Council's narrow definitions, could find safety." "More than that," Marcus added. "A home." They sat in comfortable silence, each lost in thoughts of possibility. Then Vira's communicator chirped. She checked it, her expression shifting to surprise. "It's from Yates at the depot. She wants to see all three of us tomorrow morning. Says she has a proposal." The next morning, they gathered in Yates's cluttered office. The older woman gestured for them to sit, her weathered face serious. "I'll cut to the chase," she said. "Word's gotten around about your skills. All three of you, and I've been authorized by the Settlement Council to make you an offer." "What kind of offer?" Marcus asked cautiously. "We got a problem. There's a derelict orbital station about 6 light hours from here. Old Earth military installation, abandoned decades ago. We've been wanting to salvage it, maybe even refurbish it, but we don't have the expertise." Yates looked at each of them in turn. "You do. Chen's got the salvage knowledge. Vira's got the engineering skills. And Celine, well, we figure any station worth keeping needs life support and food production systems." "You want us to lead a salvage operation?" Vira asked. "More than that. We want you to restore it. Turn it into a proper way station. Place where ships can dock, resupply, where people can live if they need to." Yates leaned forward. "Where refugees can find sanctuary without putting the planet's settlement at risk." Marcus, Vira, and Celine exchanged glances. Their shared dream offered to them on a silver platter. "What's the catch?" Marcus asked. "No catch. You do the work. You get ownership stake. 20% each for the three of you. Rest split between the settlement and investors. You'd be partners, not employees." "Why us?" Celine asked. Yates smiled. "Because you're already a team. Because you've got something to prove. And because Morrison told me how you talked about that station where you met. Like it could have been something beautiful if it hadn't been left to rot. Now's your chance to build something beautiful from the start." They didn't need to discuss it. Marcus saw the answer in Vira's glowing skin, in Celine's bright eyes, in his own racing heart. "When do we start?" Marcus asked. 3 months later, they stood in the observation deck of what would soon be Haven Station. The structure was taking shape around them, repaired and expanded beyond its original military purpose. Through the viewports, Kepler's Haven glowed like a jewel against the void. "The garden modules will be online next week," Celine reported, reviewing her tablet. "We'll have fresh food production within a month. And the docking bays are almost ready," Vira added. "We can start accepting ships soon." Marcus wrapped an arm around each of them, pulling them close. Not bad for three people who met during an illegal salvage operation. Not bad at all. Vira agreed, her skin rippling with contentment. Marcus, Celine said softly, I got a message today. Through the back channels. From another Luminari. They both turned to her, hope and concern mixing. They saw our signals. There are at least 20 of them, scattered across different settlements. They want to know if the offer sanctuary is real. Of course it's real, Vira said immediately. Then I'll send the coordinates, Celine replied, smiling. Welcome home will have a whole new meaning. As the binary sun set again, casting their light through the station's incomplete walls, the three of them stood together, watching their dream take shape. It had started with an empty station and a locked door. It had grown through crisis and connection, through trust built in fire. Now it was becoming something lasting. A refuge, a home, a family. Marcus had gone looking for salvage and found his purpose. Vira and Celine had been running from death and found life. Together, they'd built something none of them could have created alone. Hey, Marcus said, pulling them both closer. I love you, both of you. Just wanted to say it out loud. Vira's skin blazed with joy, patterns of gold and violet dancing across her form. We love you too. So much. Celine kissed his cheek, then Vira's. To new beginnings. To family, Vira added. To home, Marcus finished. Below them, Kepler's Haven spun onward, a bright point in the darkness. Above them, stars scattered infinite and eternal. And between, three people who'd found something rarer than all the salvage in the galaxy. They'd found each other. The end.